Dear subscribers, welcome to the channel. We'll take a look at the key markets today. We'll take a look at the stock indices, S&P 500, Nasdaq 100, Russell 2000. We will do a little bit of a technical deep dive. This is why I'm doing a video. And we'll also take a look at the Bitcoin, also the US dollar, because the currency markets are moving quite a lot, and of course gold and silver. Before we do that, let's actually take a look at how the different markets perform today. So this is our assets performance report, and here we can see that silver actually really outperformed or outshined all the other asset classes that we are tracking here, and gold was number 2, but you can see that in terms of the percentage, actually gold is catching up. Silver is a lot very volatile in comparison to gold. That's the way the nature of the metal is, but technically they are showing a little bit of a different picture, so we'll take a look at that as well a little bit later on. Is of course the Fed day, so the Federal Reserve came out and they held the rates to 3.75%. those are the Fed fund rates, and that caused a bit of a volatility, but it was kind of expected in the market. The Fed was going to hold the rates, and what we see now is let's see what sort of follow through we get tomorrow, but it's actually quite playing well to the technical picture that we are watching. Bitcoin, the performance has not been that great, you can see that, and the worst performing asset class is actually the IWM, which is the small caps that we are watching. If we take a look at the world indices, these are the indices that we track here. We can see that the Hong Kong, the Asian markets once again outperformed, and the Hong Kong, the Hang Seng Index, 2.58% return today. That's really good. And the South Korean indices, they are doing quite well, 1.82% Kospi 200. Look, we have this semiconductors performing quite well, up 2.67%. Let me double check. Yes, 2.67%. The ARK ETFs, they have been mixed recently, and we can see that with the exception of ARKQ, which is the autonomous technology and robotics ETF, the rest of them actually closed into the negative. Some of them are really marginally. For example, the ARKX, which is the space exploration and innovation ETF, kind of unchanged, but still you can see how the rest of them have actually performed today. Energy was up 0.77%, and technology, of course, XLK, and XOP, which is here. This is the oil and gas exploration and production ETF, 1.26% up. So clearly things are moving in favor of the energy sector, perhaps related to the geopolitical issues that we are hearing about in the news. Those could be possible fundamental reasons, but this is how the performance is being tracked. So we'll also take a look at the crude oil as well. Okay, and last but not least, we'll have a very quick look at some of the individual stocks that really outperformed the S&P 500. You can see that Seagate Technology, really amazing performance, up 19.14%. That's super amazing. Intel, quite volatile these days, 11.04%. Western Digital and Seagate, they are in a similar kind of business, also up 10.7%. Texas Instruments, this is, I think, after a long time I'm seeing this ticker in the list, 9.94%, and outperformance of the S&P 500 by 9.95%. Micron Technology has been one of the regular names in here, and Elements Health, one of the healthcare stocks. The rest are all in the on the week-to-date basis. We can see the Seagate is just amazing, 27.98%. That's amazing, and 18.32 by Western Digital. F5 Inc., I don't know about this stock, is up 12.74% week to date. Really interesting. And then Corning Inc., also in technology, and then Arista Network, also in technology. Lam Research, it has been in the list before. It's quite a regular one, 9.93. And just these are just the top 10 that I'm looking at. So sometimes other stocks which have actually, in terms of percentage, performed better, they come into the list. Maybe I can expand the list to the top 25. That could be an idea as well. Teradyne Technology again. So you can see that only one symbol coming in from consumer, defensive, and technology has been on the rise this week. Okay, so now that out of the way, let's take a look at the technical picture. We'll start by taking a look at S&P 500 cash. This is SPX daily chart, and here we can see that the index made a new all-time high and breached the level of 7,000 for the first time, reaching 7,002.28, but closed lower for the day. It could be because we had a Meta earnings coming out, we had Tesla, and we also had Microsoft coming out. So a number of the Magnificent Seven stocks coming out after the close, and those earnings are out. We'll take a brief look at Tesla stock as well. So we have these targets right here on the top. We have been discussing these for quite a while, and there's a possibility that we could actually reach the 7,015, which is not too far away now, but at one point when the price was down here, and this is where we have this really nice pattern coming in, which I mentioned in the newsletter on Substack. If you have not yet subscribed, please go to the marketchartpattern.substack.com and you'll be able to subscribe for free for the moment. We could get up to 7,045 for 7,040. That is also a possibility. These are the targets we are looking at. A really key low for us is the 20th of January 2026. Here we go. So this is the S&P 500 E-mini futures daily chart. We had a really important low come in 20th of January. We had these patterns formation right here. Not going into the details of that, and what we have seen is actually the market make a new all-time high. So this came in as a really key support. As long as this support is held, we have got a chance to move higher, and I can do a very quick expansion to the upside. Really short-term targets, 1.272 and 1.618, 7,100 on the S&P 500 is where we could see this being we can see this index reaching 20th of January. Really important lows. Now let's take a look at the QQQ, which is the Nasdaq 100 ETF, and here yesterday I've drawn this these red boxes. These are actually a measured move. So this, we take the expansion right here, and if we project this move from the top of this range, we get a 650. It's got a good chance to reach that. So this is really interesting. Here we do have resistance coming in from the previous all-time high, which is 637.01. And we came very close to it, 636.60 today. So it just needs to get above that, and then it's just air above that. We could quite easily then reach this target. And then I haven't done ABCDs on this chart, but on the weekly chart we have higher targets on NDX. We'll just take a really quick look at this one. There we go. So here, let's take a look at this on the NDX, 26,182.10, and it just really missed it by a few points. And tomorrow we do have some heavy hitters coming out with their earnings. I believe Apple is out tomorrow, so we could see maybe a sideways market. But it's setting up quite nice for our higher targets to be reached. So really interesting what is happening. And here we go. So 20th of January low is really important. These points that we see here, point C here, and really important one is this 21st of November. We do have a key date coming up end of this week, 30th of February. but that's for another time. Now let's take a look at some of the really key markets that we are watching. So let's start with the gold market, and there we go. So the gold has opened up. This is COMEX gold, by the way, with a gap up formation, and it's just met our target, which was right here, and it has gone 300 points above that. And this market is really amazing the way it is moving. It is really extraordinary to take a look at that. It's just air above this. A long time ago, I had done a analysis of how high I think, based on the comparison that I had done, the gold market could go. And what the result I got was it could reach as high as $7,500 per troy ounce. So that figure is just really amazing. Let's see, I might have still here that analysis. Here we go, and we do. So the way I did this was going back all the way. If we go here back into the 73, 74 area, this is I believe when the fiat currencies came into existence, in the sense the gold standard was removed. And if we take this percentage move going into 1980 top, and we just project that from here, we get a figure of $7,500 per troy ounce. So this is, I think, where it might be going. And then we have something similar for silver. Let's see if I could get that. Here we go. So for silver, it could actually go as high as $160 per troy ounce. Really interesting. But on the daily chart, silver is doing something a little bit different to what the gold is doing, in the sense that gold seems to be becoming stronger than silver in this CD run here. Silver was a little bit stronger, but the gold seems to be getting stronger as well. And at some point, that ratio, gold to silver ratio, could actually flip. So I'll do a special video about that. We'll take a look at this in great detail, because people who really follow gold markets, they look at different ratios, because it has an impact on the miners as well. Okay, so now let's take a look at the crude oil market, CL. Here we go. So crude oil is breaking out. The price is above the 20-day, 200-day moving average, which is this gray line, and it is also above the 20-day moving average. So it's really interesting. And what I think is going for these swing highs right here to $66 per barrel. So that's quite the opposite to what the news that we have been seeing. But ever since the events of Venezuela took place, actually crude oil formed a bottom, and this is where this is going, to 66. Now let's do a really quick one. What I would really like to see is basically the this market 20-day moving average to move above the 200-day moving average. Then we are going to get a really nice shift in momentum, and the price could really accelerate quite higher. Here we had a rally. It went quite high to this swing, was not able to take it out, retraced 50%, and then what we saw was several days, about a week, of just inside bars or a range bound market, and now it's kind of breaking out. So that's quite interesting. And if we were to just take a retracement, let's draw the high to the low here, and I will draw the 38.2%. So it's very close to that, getting above the 38.2%. I think it will be an indication that this market is getting pretty strong. And then we have these levels of swing high around 66, even to about $70 per barrel is where this market would go. And this is what we saw in ETFs today, that you saw that energy ETFs and also the exploration ETFs, they had performed quite well today. So that just shows you, how these markets are moving, and quite easily get to 64, 65 dollars per barrel. It's not far away from 64 I just mentioned, because it's 38.2% Fibonacci retracement. All right, so now let's take a look at Bitcoin. So the Bitcoin market is, I'm going to show you what I think are the possibilities based on technical analysis, of course. So here we go. So in the articles and also the notes that I put up on Substack, I had mentioned this as a very stiff resistance right here. Technically, we have this ABCD in black, this pattern coming in. We had a confluence of two Fibonacci ratios coming together, so that was a pretty strong resistance level. And we have seen the market not being able to go above the 98,000 mark. On closing basis, pretty strong resistance, and it actually retraced right back into the 61.8%, which has been holding this market for some time. But if it is not able to hold this, then of course the lows of 21st of November come into the play, and below that we could be looking at a ABCD structure, which I've actually shown in red here, and this market could go as low as about 52,500. You know, that's where the projection is going, which is going to be right into the lows of July of 2024. So it looks like this market does not have a lot of friends. And look where the gold is, and where this market is. This is what the price action is telling us, regardless of what we see, the kind of tweets we see on X, some of the YouTube videos that actually hit my feed. The price action is just telling us to be careful and watch these technical levels very, very, very carefully. Okay, now let's take a look at some of the other markets. We have covered the Bitcoin, dollar. So dollar index, really, really interesting. What is happening with the dollar? A dollar had, this is on last Friday when it started to break down, and it had a big smash down day yesterday, meaning 27th of January, and then 28th today. It just kind of coiled inside it. Is this selling done yet? And have we just completed this ABCD pattern? With this kind of selling, I would like to see further price action, because we do have lower targets for quite a while on longer term monthly charts. Here we go, and this is the one which I posted in the weekly newsletter, and here we go, about 94.50. That's gonna be a pretty strong support level, if we were to get there, and it did come pretty close to the 94.50, but I missed it by a few points. So the low was 95.36. It missed it by about a point. But you can see that the month is not over yet, but still quite a lot of the momentum is really, really bearish on the dollar. But we do have pretty nice support coming in around 94. So we'll be watching this very, very carefully, because the reason is that if we just go back to this region right here in 2011, when dollar was starting its bull run, we had a similar kind of ABCD pattern formation right here, and we are doing something similar here. And of course it will depend upon the support being held or not. The other thing is that one of the really big things that I'm also watching is the symmetry in time. So the bull market in dollar might be over, but it doesn't mean that we cannot get sharp rallies, because this happened before. Look, I'll show you right here. Back in the 2000s, right here, it topped right here, but it came and did a double top, and you could see the same. You could say the same thing right here in 2000. So the rallies could be pretty sharp. This is what I'm trying to say. So it could have these rallies, which could be counter trend rallies, but very, very sharp rallies. So we'll be just watching the dollar very, very carefully here, and a very quick look on the Euro USD. Here we go. And here we were watching for 120 as our target. Our target was hit, and it's just going to consolidate right here. So the forex markets are coming back into action. They have been pretty boring since the COVID days, to be honest, when the volatility began to die down. But we had another asset class, the Bitcoin, rising up. So I think that took up a lot of the liquidity going over there. And also the gold kind of went out of fashion. And of course, you know that what is happening with the gold market now. So we covered a lot of these markets. One of the really important markets that we should be watching is actually the 10-year Treasury yields, and also the 2-year. I'll do that in a little bit later. The reason is because today was the Fed day, and the Fed held the rates, and here we can see that this pattern formation that I'm watching on the longer term patterns, which actually point to lower yields. But right here, it broke out of this range, and it's got a possibility to hit the 4.35% level, which is the 61.8% Fibonacci retracements. That possibility is always there. And today, if we just look at this as a trend line, broke above that. So something that I don't want to see, don't like to see, because the yields have moved higher, but this is the pattern I'm seeing. So let's see if we see a follow through in higher yields, because the longer term pattern that I've been actually watching points to lower yields, but we have to go with the price action, and the possibility still exists it could hit the 4.35%. And let's take a look at the 2-year note. Here we go. So the 2-year price action was more calm here. The yields very slightly negligible, fell down, which is quite interesting because the shorter end is mostly impacted by what the Fed does. One of the things I'm looking at is, could this be what you call a bull flag formation right here? So we have to watch these really carefully. If I just make it a channel right here like this, I think if it gets above this level, then it's got a chance to go and test these highs here around 3.65%, and getting above this, it's kind of be breaking out of this range, and that's not something that I want to see. But we have to go with the price action. So waiting to see what sort of follow through we get after the Fed decision today. So thank you very much for watching the video. My apologies, the video is a little bit longer than what I anticipated it to be. Let's really quickly take a look at Tesla stock, because the earnings came out. And here we go. I think the stock is a little bit up after the earnings, but nothing major. And here what we're watching in the ABCD is this point C, and 407.9 or 408 level is also really important. If that breaks, then could we be looking at an ABCD to the downside and the market going down to 360? We'll have to wait and see. But this is the pattern. Right now, I'm looking at point C is really important. 408 level on closing basis is also really, really important. Thank you very much for watching the video. Good luck, good trading, and speak to you guys soon.